The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. The merchants of the earth are rich because of her delicacies. Say this with me. There's no freedom outside of authority. Now I want you to understand something. From the garden, now we're going to move to the beginning. You see the end. This great whore, this prostitute of Babylon is judged. And prior to her judgment in chapter 18, God calls his people to come out of her. But let's go to the very beginning and let's see, we find this spirit loose in the garden. And I want you to understand this mystery is love versus authority. Love versus authority. When God put man in the garden, right after the marriage, right after he brought the woman to him, and the man said, this is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, Satan began an attack against marriage. Everybody say marriage. Everybody say the woman in a marriage represents love. A man in the marriage represents authority. Now, the mystery of Babylon is love versus authority. In the marriage, the woman represents love. That is her strength. That's what she brings to the marriage. She brings love. That is her agenda. That is the place where she's at her best, is when she's walking in the expression of love. In the marriage, the man in his best expression, it is not when he's walking in love, it's when he walks in authority. Now you have to understand something that's very, very critical and important to get how the enemy is functioning with this spirit in our day and all throughout the scripture. Since the issue is love versus authority, what happens is, we gave this to you already, there's no freedom outside authority. Now if you're writing, you write this down. Say this first. Say authority covers love. Love covers sex. Now, there's something very, very important. God placed authority first. So, in other words, he said to the man, this is what I want you to do. You're going to go in the garden. You're going to keep it. You're going to take care of it. You're going to till it. You're going to protect it. You're going to guard it. You know, in the garden, there's going to be this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Do not touch it. If you touch it, you're going to die. He's setting this man in authority. Now, I want y'all to hear me now, because people teach and preach that the man and the woman together represent the rule of God over his creation. I'm not talking about that. Right now, I'm talking about in the marriage. In the marriage, he is the authority and she is love. Are you with me? Because if you don't get this, we're going to get lost. In the marriage, not their ministry, not their work, not the kids, not the family, not how they go and do what they do in the world. The two of them, in their relationship, she is love, he is authority. The woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Now I want y'all to hear what's going on. What's going on is that the woman had an affinity to the serpent. She had something that caused her to be drawn to his words. You have to understand, if she is a love creature, she likes being talked to. She likes feeling important. She likes to have things cultivated and time spent on her. So the serpent approaches her by love. He doesn't approach her to entice her per se. He approaches her through her strength. Now here's the problem. Love apart from authority is out of order, which means while he's talking to her, she's functioning in love, but she still has authority that she must respond to in the marriage. Adam represented the authority. Say that. Adam represented the authority. I cannot enter into a love relationship apart from authority. And all this talking to the serpent is a development of a love relationship. I cannot enter into a love relationship apart from authority, which means it has to line up with the purposes of God. He's got to support it. It doesn't make any difference who's backing it up. If God's not backing it up, it may be love, but it's not in alignment with authority, which means that it's more likely to be susceptible to some other spirit. Now here's the dilemma. Because Adam represents authority, he should have responded to this woman, his woman. I cannot disobey God, even for love. Even for love. But he loved her too much. So his love for this woman caused him to turn his back on God. Y'all better hear me.